a lot of people put them in their closed terrariums and they just kind of live there indefinitely, and you'll have like a little colony and they just live off the mold and the dead leaves, and they kind of help reprocess all of that.
What a nice little life.
Yeah,
for them.
I know.
Safe in there, warm,
cozy.
moist. Yeah, nothing to worry about except for you killing their habitat.
Well, you're essentially God, right?
Yeah.
You're all encompassing.
And isn't that fun to be so powerful?
No.
Oh, it's a lot of pressure.
I don't want that pressure.
They said that we'd grow out of it. Well, the joke's on them, that's just our brains. We're eccentric, loud, and stubborn, and most of our clothing is covered in stains. It's not a deficit of attention, there's just too much to think about. So if executive dysfunction becomes a little too much, if you forgot why you came in this room, or you're hypersensitive to touch, then put on your seamless socks and come join our little flock. Bitches stimming together, we're weirds of a feather, weirds of a feather. Ah!
Caw-caw!
Baby pop, baby pop, baby pop,
Baby pop.
baby pop.
Ba, 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 baby pup.
And with that, we'll say welcome.
Oh, we're
to Weirds of
recording?
Feather. Yeah, I started recording.
I am so sorry.
I'm going to keep that in.
I
'Cause I like
hope
it.
you don't.
might.
Someone's ears are gonna bleed. All our autistic listeners are gonna be like, "Ah, shut it off!"
Or maybe they love it. Maybe it'll be their verbal stem.
Ooh, probably not.
You never know.
Probably not.
All right. Well, anyways, yeah. Welcome to Weirds of a Feather, an AuDHD-Adjacent podcast. I'm your host, Grace Bray.
And I'm your host, Kristin Stanhope.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And we got a Just Segs
Good.
coming your way.
Hobby collectors.
Yeah, we're finally
We
doing
got
another hobby collectors.
Another hobby. It's been a while since we've done like a true blue hobby.
I know.
Has it? Right?
Yeah, the last one, I think the last one we did was maybe my lampshades, right?
Oh,
Or did you do one after
yeah.
that? You did chicken?
Did I
Keep
do
it-
the chicken
Or
stuff?
did you do the woobles? I don't remember.
I haven't done the woobles.
Oh. I don't know. We did something, maybe it was chickens a while back. But other than that, we haven't really been doing that many
Yeah.
hobbies. So we're going to tell you how to make terrariums, whether they're fake terrariums, bone terrariums, real terrariums, any kind of terrariums.
All things terrarium.
Yeah.
This is the Terrarium Adjacent podcast.
Heavy on the terrariums today.
Heavy on the adjacent today.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it is heavy on
It's heavy on the terrariums,
Yeah.
not so adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. I
Yeet.
want to start with a warm-up question.
Yeah.
This is really just a thought I had.
Okay.
And this is really a business
I like-
someone should start, but I was so excited about it that I couldn't save it, and I want
Sure.
to share it now
Yeah.
because I just thought of this idea.
Sure.
All right. You know how people talk about spin studios
Yeah.
where you go and you're like riding the stationary
Mhm.
bike? What about a spin studio, but it's just for autistic people and you're just spinning around in circles? You say, I got to go to my spin studio today, and then everyone's
just
twirling around by
spin.
themselves.
There's like a lot of like cool fabric draping that you can touch
Yeah.
with like soft textures.
Yeah, nice
A
textures,
stim
soft music.
studio.
Yeah, ooh,
Yeah.
stim studio.
Love it.
I like that idea. Soft
Love it.
carpeting, maybe.
Soft carpet.
They could have like the types of swings that you can kind of spin on,
Yeah.
you know?
not too much because
Yeah.
you'll get motion sickness.
But some people don't. Some autistic people love to spin, and they'll just
Mhm.
spin and spin and spin, and they don't get
Maybe
dizzy.
like lots of fidgets.
Yeah.
Noise canceling headphones for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like a silent disco
Yeah.
where everyone's like in their own little world, whether you just want it like totally silent, you want
Mhm.
music, it's up to you.
Judgment free.
Yeah. Just
I
come
like
and
that.
spin
Stim
around in a
studio.
circle. I do like Stim Studio, and I feel like that's more accurate for what we're doing.
Mhm.
But I really like the idea of calling it a spin studio, and you act like you're going to like a workout class, but it's just
Stim
a
and
bunch,
spin.
it's just a bunch of people spinning in circles. Yeah, Stim and spin. I like that. All right, I think it could be nice.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
thanks. I thought so. All right, should we get into This Is Who I Am now?
Yeah.
All right.
This time it's different. Everything has changed. This is who I am now.
This is who I am one. Nice and raspy on my end.
I'm like out of breath.
And nice and high and long on your end.
Yep. That's just how it should be.
Yep, it's what the people
good
demand.
For the ears. Good for the ears, good for the soul.
Good for the heart. Kristin.
Yeah.
You know.
I am a funny guy.
You are a funny guy.
I am a funny guy.
Is that a new development?
I think probably. I mean, hopefully not. We've been doing this podcast for a while. It's technically a comedic podcast. So one of us should be funny.
Yeah, you would hope. One would hope.
One would hope. At least one of us, if not both of us, are funny guys.
Yeah.
But I guess funnier than normal guy.
All right.
How about funny guy with an ego now?
Ooh, all right.
Because someone told me I was funny.
That's deadly.
It's like the
Goes
worst.
Straight to your head.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm on cloud 9. I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm a funny guy.
Yeah. Sorry. Talent only.
Yeah. Where's my trailer? No, holiday office parties. And because I'm leaving my job, I decided to read my bosses for filth and in a roast, and which got sent around the entire hospital. And a lot of people congratulated me and said I was a funny guy. And so now I have an ego the size of the Mississippi. And
someone told you should do stand-up, right?
Someone told me I should do stand-up, which...
That's a real ego booster.
Yeah.
Someone's told me I should do stand-up
and then you're like, I could. And then you're like, nah.
Should I? I don't know. Should I?
Nope. We'll
I
stay
think
right
you
here
could.
right here in the pod. This is my stage.
Yeah. Microphone's your stage.
Yeah. I also made a joke to the pharmacist picking up my asthma inhalers, and then it was like right after that. So I was like, I am a funny guy.
You are a funny guy.
It was the worst joke. You want to hear it?
Yeah, tell me.
I said I was picking up inhalers, and I go, new inhalers, new me. And she cackled, and she's like, I'm going to use that. And I was like, okay, now I'm like, whew. Yeah, I gotta get this ego under control because I feel great.
I say let it ride.
Yeah, I'm like, I got jokes for days.
I mean, all stand-up comedians have ginormous egos. You have to in order to get yourself to do that.
Certain people have to have egos. Surgeons, stand-up comedians, actors, presidents,
musicians.
You got to have a bit of an ego if you're going to do something like that.
Yeah, you have to be kind of delusional to be like, I'm going to be a star and I deserve it more than anyone.
Yep.
You know? And I say, yeah, go for it. Be your biggest fan.
Yeah.
What was your favorite joke you had from the roast?
My favorite joke was I was making one of my surgeons that I work with murders every plant she's ever touched, which is like kind of concerning since she's supposed to be like in the business of healing.
Yeah, they're very different.
Yeah, plants and people.
Yeah.
So I said that her plants were lined up on her windowsill like death row inmates on the Not So Green Mile. And it made me laugh. It was a combined... Christopher helped me get there. I have to give him credit because he brought up the Green Mile. And I said, this is a Not So Green Mile. And it's not. They're all crispy, just sitting there waiting to die.
You showed me the video of the roast. Yeah. You were getting lots of laughs.
I know, lots of laughs.
They were loving it.
Lots of laughs.
Good crowd energy.
Got to get on those sides of the nurses. Because once you have the nurses, praise.
Yeah.
You're untouchable.
Yeah.
Because anything, even if you screw up, they'll cover you. And that's like the best.
Yeah. You crushed it. You are a funny guy.
I am a funny guy. Grace.
Yes.
Who are you now?
Oh. Well.
The little vocal warm-up.
Yeah, it was
included.
Good. I like how much your mouth moved. It's fun to see. I am a juggler.
Ooh.
I haven't talked about this yet, have I? I think I talked about my plans.
You have plans for
to
juggling.
juggle.
I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. We might have talked about it just in
friends.
Life as friends.
I might have talked about my plans. I can't remember if I even talked about my plans, but I've officially started. I don't think any real jugglers would call me an official juggler, but I'm calling myself an official juggler.
As long as you're a juggler in your heart, you're a juggler to me.
I am a juggler in my heart. Thank you. That's all that matters. It's really hard. Well, the first few steps are like pretty easy and you make progress really quickly. I
Place ball in hand.
Yeah.
Throw ball in
place
air.
ball in other hand.
Yeah.
You start with 2. Well, you start with 1 actually.
Start with 1, right?
And you're just,
Ball
it's more
in
about the
hand,
catching than the throwing.
Ball in air.
Yeah.
Step 1, step 2.
Yep.
You got it down.
Yeah, ball in other hand. And so first you start with throwing 1 ball back and forth just to kind of get used to like the weight, having your hand there to catch it, kind of throwing it in the same spot. And then you move on to 2 balls and you're doing, you throw 1 up and then you throw the other one up and you catch and you catch. And like that stuff is a little
I've
challenging.
juggled 2 balls.
Yeah. That's not real juggling.
No.
With 2, I guess. But those.
Oh, it was a sexual
Oh,
joke.
gotcha.
Okay.
You're not a real juggler.
I'm not a real funny guy.
Until you've done 3. At least 3 at once. I'm just thinking where I left off.
Sorry, I rudely interrupted you. Yeah, you've got 2 balls.
I was in the juggling zone and now you're bringing
now I
sex
got you.
into it.
Yeah,
Come
I'm
on.
sorry.
Juggling and sex do not belong together ever. Don't ever bring up sex to a juggler. They don't know about it. They don't have sex.
They don't know what it is.
Yes, they don't. They'll be confused, just like I am. Now that I am a juggler, I'm like, balls, yeah, juggling balls.
Yes.
Please.
You were talking about
keep your
got 2
inappropriate
balls,
jokes away from.
and you're juggling them back and forth, back and forth.
Yes. Now it just sounds gross. Now you just ruined the whole thing with your filthy mind.
I'm really proud of you.
Yeah, I ordered some like legit juggler's balls
and
like a really cool person.
What inspired this?
Well, it's really good for your brain.
Okay.
It's really good for your cerebellum.
Okay.
It's good to do multi-sided activities. Cross
hemisphere.
Yes, essentially, where you're doing things with both hands. It's like why knitting is really good for your hemispheres. It's just good to do cross hemisphere activities. So juggling is that. It's good for your cerebellum, which we need help with as ADHDers because we got small ass cerebellums. And it's something I can do while I'm like hanging out watching TV.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I've always wanted to learn how to juggle. And so I figured I'd teach myself. I read a juggler's blog.
Oh.
He said it's more about the catching than the throwing. But essentially, you
wise words.
You make pretty fast progress with those first steps because you're just like throwing 1 and then you're throwing 2. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Then you introduce 3. And that's where it all falls apart.
Game changes right there.
Game changes. And I got the first throw, like you start with 2 in one hand and 1 in the other. And you're going like up, up, up. I can do those. Up. I can get 3 in the air and catch them. And then I can't keep going, Because then you have to catch it in your right hand, or for everyone else, probably catch it in your left hand. But for me, I'm catching it in my right hand. And I'm supposed to be like tossing it again. It's just a lot going on all at once. And it's very difficult. And I'm trying not to do the thing I always do where I like it until it becomes hard and then I stop. So I am persevering and I'm working on it and I will push past this. I believe in myself as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For all the jugglers out there, maybe writing Grace like words of advice or inspiration.
Yeah, please. I could use her inspiration.
Yeah.
Enya said it's really just about practicing. She said she wasn't a juggler, but then she's like, well, I can only do 3. I'm like, so you're a juggler. Yeah. That's juggling then.
Juggling life was, she wasn't a juggler until she was.
I guess so. But if you know how to juggle 3 balls, you're a juggler. You don't need 4. 3 is like the minimum to make you
When do you move from balls to like bowling pins?
Probably not for a good while. I say get comfortable with
flaming
balls first.
chainsaws.
That's like at least a month out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a ways to go.
Yeah, you've got a little bit.
I'm working my way up to flaming chainsaws. But yeah, I'm proud of myself and it's fun and I'm sticking with it and I will persevere. And when I do, I'll take a video of me juggling.
I'm excited.
Not yet, because I'm not there yet. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
thanks. That's why I am now.
I'm excited.
All right. Should we mosey on into our next seg?
Yes. So this is almost like TV. This is a business.
Yes.
But not.
So to spin off of Business is Someone Should Start Just Not Us, I have a TV show, Someone Should Start Just Not Us. But maybe us, because I like this concept.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
What are we doing for a song? Because we usually just say business.
I say we do the business song anyways, because it's like a subset.
Should we say TV?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just do that.
Instead of business.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool.
Really excited.
Yeah.
And then at the end we go shows.
Ooh, I like it. All right, let's do it.
Okay.
TV. Shows.
that was really good. And I can tell already that it was
It's going to be
super cool.
perfect. Yeah.
People are going to love it.
It's not weird at all. And yeah. But you have a TV show someone should start, just not us.
Yep. Normal podcast here, folks.
Yep.
Yes, I came up with a TV show concept because I was watching The Ultimatum on Netflix.
You love a good reality TV.
I love a good reality show.
You love a good reality TV show.
And this is very hypocritical of me because I frequently rant about how terrible the Netflix reality show production companies are and like how monstrous they are.
Yeah,
but I watch the shows anyways.
All reality TV.
All reality TV, but like I've just learned a lot about Netflix specifically because that's really where I tend to be drawn to. I'm not really a Bravo person. I just never had the channel, and
I'm not really a reality TV person. It's not enough colors, you know. I'm all about
lots of colors.
I'm all about those colors.
Well, you're not watching fun enough reality TV.
Too Hot to Handle was really good. Lots of colors,
right?
It was like tropical, yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
it was just like really.
The Netflix ones.
I felt like Too Hot to Handle was just so over edited. It was just very. It took me right out.
Yeah.
When they're over edited, and you're like, okay, I'm just getting like a totally different story here.
Exactly. Like, I'm not naive to think that reality show is just totally unscripted, fully natural. But like, I do think there is a balance of like, I think a lot of the situations are real, but they've just been kind of like created by putting these people together or by kind of like encouraging this. But I don't think they're like fully scripted. And if you think otherwise, shut the fuck up. Let me have this, okay? Let me have my fun. I think that there is some realness to it. I just think the production like is, poking and prodding. I don't think it's like 100% scripted. I don't know, and I don't want to know, but I know that the production is garbage and I watch it anyway. So in that sense, I am a hypocrite.
Everybody has their guilty pleasure, right?
That's mine. And I feel like, I don't know, out of all the, I'm not even going to defend it. It's bad, but I watch it anyways. And The Ultimatum, for those of you who have not seen it, I think it's the craziest reality show premise that exists.
I've never even heard of it.
It's so fucked up.
Okay.
It is. So these couples come on the show, and it's couples who one partner has issued a marriage ultimatum.
Okay.
They say, coming on the show, I want you to propose. I'm ready to get married. It's not always the women. It's usually the women issuing the ultimatum, but sometimes it's the men.
General couples counseling.
I know, right? Go to therapy.
Right.
Well, I got an idea.
Okay.
But it's just like a really fucked up premise. First of all the couples are always like 24. Ugh. It's like, calm down, dude. You're issuing a marriage ultimatum.
Child bride. What is this, Utah?
Honestly, it's like they've been together for 2 years and she's issuing an ultimatum because she's ready to
when
have
When
kids.
is it appropriate? Like, how long do you date someone before it's appropriate to get married in this day and age? In 2024, the year of our Lord.
I think it really, really depends on your age, first of all. The younger you are, the longer you should wait. And I know a lot of women are all like, if he doesn't propose by 2 years, then he's not. Like, I just think it's
wild. So 2 years
relative to who you are as a couple. And I don't think 2 years is long enough. I would say 3. I think 3 minimum until you're gonna get engaged. But for some couples, it's like, yeah, sure, you guys are great and you knew right away and you've spent so much time. But I don't know. I think it's very situational, and I don't think putting a flat number on it is appropriate.
Okay.
Right?
That's fair.
But I think when you're young, I would say I don't think anyone should be getting married regardless of how long they've been together. I don't think you should get married under 26 or 27. I think that's too young.
Get that frontal lobe to develop first,
I say wait, see the world, experience life a little. There's no rush.
No rush. People are living longer these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing. I think so many people are just so focused on this is what I have to do. This is what people do. You get married by this time and you've been together 3 years and then you get engaged and then you have a baby. They're just so focused on following that track. They don't really step back and think do I want this or am I just I want a wedding?
Right. I think all my friends are doing this, so I too must do this.
Yes. And I see that a lot on the ultimatum where it's all the women's reasoning is usually all my friends are getting married. Okay.
Okay.
And if you are
when they all get divorced, are you going to get divorced?
Exactly. Yeah, probably. And if you are genuinely wanting to get married and your partner doesn't want to marry you and you've been together for a solid amount of time,
maybe reevaluate your wants and your dreams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you are ready for it, on the flip side, I do think if you're ready to be married, and you want to, then you should
get married.
be able to get married.
Why
And if,
not? Have
if your
a party.
partner's like giving you a million reasons and pushing it off, they're just dicking you around, and that's not fair either.
Find someone else.
I say open communication ultimately,
Okay.
And I do think there are lots of situations where a couple's been together for like 10 years and they're 35 and the dude's like, I just want to get my finances in place. It's like, that guy's not going to marry you.
No.
Stop wasting your time with him.
No.
It's just not going to happen. But regardless, I don't think an ultimatum is if you get to the point where you have to give an ultimatum, it's like, come on, man, just break up.
So the ultimatum basically is this couple that's been given an ultimatum.
Yes, one side of the couple has been given an ultimatum and the other partner doesn't want to get married for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes the reason's good, sometimes
Is
it's
it
bad.
always an ultimatum? Married ultimatum?
Yes.
It's always marriage.
It's always marriage.
Ugh.
So the premise of the show is these couples are coming on the show. They say by the end of it, you either have to propose to me or we're going to break up. And this is so crazy that this is a reality show that people sign up for.
This is wild.
So just wait. Not only are they issuing this ultimatum going on the show, they switch partners with the other couples who also are coming onto the show. So all of these couples, one side has given the ultimatum. They all date each other. They pick a new partner out of all these ultimatum couples. They pick a new partner. They all like match up. And then they do like a trial marriage with this new person where they're like broken up from their original partner and they have to go and like live in an apartment with this new partner. And they act like they're married to kind of like work out their issues, I guess. I don't know in what world that would like be helpful to anyone.
Maybe like see like if the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's essentially like, how jealous can I make my partner to the point where they're pissed off and now they want to propose to me out of spite because I've made them jealous. Or often it just leads to couples like breaking up. So by the end of the show, they have the choice.
It sounds like they were going to probably break up.
Yes. If you're getting to this point, just fucking break up. Jesus Christ. Yeah. This show, it's like I've never heard of anything like it. What kind of sick, twisted individual would sign up for that? Because then you have to like watch your boyfriend
date someone else. Do they end up like sleeping together?
They do. Often they do.
What?
Yes, dude. Not always and not all the couples, but a lot of them get physical because they're like broken up with their original partner, even though like you're not actually broken up, but like they all say they are. And then they're living and sleeping in this bed with this random person and they're all like still going
They
to
make them sleep in the same bed?
Yes. With a strange man. You're sleeping in bed with a strange man.
Like a new person you literally just met.
Yep. So they live in these apartments.
How do they assign the couples?
They match up at this like dating event. This like
I hate
cocktail.
this.
It's crazy. So they're like
wild.
dating each other's partners while the original partners are there at the pool party or whatever.
I'm going to stick to Forensic Files.
Oh, it's so good. It's so messy because like, not to victim blame, but like, if you're going to sign up for this fucking show, I'm sorry, you deserve all the criticism you get because that's crazy to do it to yourself. And you see some of the couples like leave at the matching up dinner because they're just so jealous. They didn't realize they'd have those feelings or they'd be so upset seeing their partner, with someone else. Like, duh. But so they live with their new partner for a week and then they go and live with their original partner for a week. And then by the end of the show, they choose, are you going to get engaged to your original partner? Are you going to be with this new person? Or are you just going to be with no one and break up and hopefully leave and go work on yourself?
Hopefully.
Yeah. That's the whole premise.
That's insane.
So, yes.
Do they ever get married to the other couple? Like the other person? How crazy would that be?
I know. I'm waiting for that to happen. I don't think that has happened yet. I think sometimes they do end up like dating the other person afterwards, but it never works out because duh.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah. Weird that like swapping partners and then like immediately living together didn't work out.
Oh my God.
So I was watching the show.
Hate that.
I know. And I was watching it and I was like, this is the craziest thing that anyone would ever sign up for this.
Yes.
It's like, I feel like at that point it's like self-harm almost.
That
you're signing up to be recorded while you're watching the love of your life like date another person. It's like, what kind of torture? Why are you putting yourself through this?
I guess
So my idea for a reality show.
Okay.
Kylie came up with a name.
Yeah.
It's called Anything But Therapy.
I love that.
It's gonna be like
it sounds like my life.
Right? On Too Hot to Handle, they kind of trick them into coming on the show by telling them you're going to be on this different reality show, and they make up like a whole fake reality show. And they say, you're going to come on this show and it's going to be tropical and fun and you're going to be having sex the whole time. And then they get there, they have like one day of thinking they're on this one reality show, and then it switches, and then they hear Alana coming on, and it's like, oh, you're actually tricked and you're on Too Hot to Handle. Psych. I want it to
I feel
be
like you have to know a little bit.
You got to know a little bit.
You got to know a little bit.
It's kind of like that premise where it's gonna be like a really, really fucked up reality show premise, like The Ultimatum, where it's like only people who are like deeply disturbed would ever sign up to go on this show because it's so fucked up. So they sign up for the show thinking they're gonna come on this twisted game. Then boom, surprise, no, you're actually on a therapy show. And it's actually therapy resort. And right? Tricks them into going on
it. I did
therapy.
not think you were going to say that, but
right? Therapy resort.
yeah.
And I don't want to like record the actual therapy sessions because I legitimately think these people need real deep therapy and it shouldn't be televised. The drama really comes from like the deception of I thought we were coming on The Ultimatum, but now I'm just like receiving therapy. What the fuck?
And maybe you could interview them after your therapy sessions and they could say, you know, I'm making some breakthroughs. I'm thinking about this. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
kind
wonderful. I thought you were going to say, all right, so I thought you were going to say something like anything but therapy. And it's like you have like the ultimatum couples, but they come on and it's like you either get married or you have to like go through like a series of fear factor events. Anything but therapy. Anything but marriage, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll
that would
make
be
two
more like-
different shows.
Yeah. Anything but marriage. I like that one.
Where they have to choose between like eating a live cockroach or getting married to their partner of 10 years.
I like that because that would show just how much your partner doesn't want to marry you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that he would rather eat 10 cockroaches than marry you.
Yeah, how many cockroaches would it take to get married?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. What's like the trade-off? What's the equivalent?
Oh, American television at its finest.
It's so fun.
Let's start a TV show. Let's go.
Yeah.
We got to talk to some producers.
I know. I got another one in the barrel, but I'm going to save it for next time because
Okay.
it's another really good one.
I love it.
But I just think out of all the reality shows and how unethical they are, I feel like this one would be the closest to being like semi-ethical by like tricking people into going to therapy.
See, my version is doubling down on that unethicalness.
Yeah, it's like how much do you not want to marry your partner?
Yeah. That's what I want to know. Show us
in slugs.
Show us by like jumping off this building.
Yeah. Yeah. I like both of those premises. I think we got something here.
Yeah.
But that's my concept. If any producers out there want to work with me, let me know because I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, let's
You heard it here first.
trick people into doing therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could even go like extend it to not just like couples therapy, but just like, you know, here's Sebastian and, you know, he's just had a really stressful couple years at work and he's not handling it well around his family. And then you trick him into like thinking he's going on some sort of like business trip, but it's actually just therapy.
Love it. Yeah, we could use this model for lots of things.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it should necessarily even be couples therapy at first. I think it should be individual therapy because like you got to work on your own individual issues instead of trying to like work on this thing that clearly there's something wrong here if you're not just issuing an ultimatum, but you're coming on a reality show to issue an ultimatum. Like that's fucked up, dude. You need deep individualized therapy.
That's crazy.
So it could kind of be both, you know? You work on yourself, address your couple's issues.
To go on reality television in general, you have to, you know, we talked about like surgeons and comedians having like a certain amount of ego. You have to have a certain personality to go on these shows, you know? You've got to, I mean, Jesus, like some of these shows are just wild.
And not just that, but like the backlash. These people get torn apart. Like, why would you ever subject yourself I think part of it is they think, well, that's not going to happen to me because I'm perfect.
Right.
And people aren't going to have any negative things to say
a
about
lot of
me.
them now are like Instagram models trying to like further their own brand, you know, which is like
and that annoys me.
annoying.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Regular people only. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into some
we've got quite a bit to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Yar.
Like always.
Yep. We got a hobby.
Yeah.
Let's play the hobby song.
Yeah, play that song.
Here we go.
We are the collectors. These are our hobbies. We are the collectors, and these are our hobbies. We are the collectors, and these are our hobbies. We are the collectors. Hobby collectors.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome back from Jane's Hobby Collector song.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yes. One of my faves.
All right. This Hobby Collectors.
It's a joint hobby.
Yes. We are talking about terrarium building.
Yeah. We mentioned it, and here we are.
Yep. We're doing it, following up. Look at us. Following through.
Yep.
So we're planning to cover a couple different types of terrariums,
Yeah.
which is why we're doing a joint hobby. Kristin's going to cover living terrariums, and I'm going to cover not so living terrariums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aesthetic terrariums.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, where I'm not using living plants. I'm not trying to keep things alive. I'm mostly just making them to display my little bones, but you can display anything in there.
Yeah. Crystals, rocks, some cool stuff. A
Yep.
little figurine.
Yeah.
Whatever
Make
you need.
Little clay guys, whatever.
Yeah. Ceramic stuff.
Ooh, wouldn't that be nice?
It's a great way to display stuff.
Yeah, stuff. So, Kristin, what is a terrarium, first
A
of all?
terrarium. Terrariums started as like self-enclosed ecosystems in a glass container. That's the living terrariums that I'm going to probably talk a lot about.
Yeah.
In theory, if you do everything right and with the right amount of sunlight, you can close your terrarium and you don't have to open it, and it will just be like maintained indefinitely.
It's the dream.
Yeah. It's usually some sort of like glass vase bowl thing with a cover, and then it has like some plants and some rocks and some soil and a little bit of water, and then you just let it go. But the hobby has expanded. You can have open terrariums, which are just like without the cover. You can have non-living terrariums, which are more for like displaying things. You can have lots of things. So you've been really, your whole dining room table is terrariums.
Yeah, I've got like a whole big setup going on.
It's impressive.
I've been gathering materials for a long time, and I talked last episode or whenever that was about I'm finally putting all my stuff together. So I just wanted to give you guys a little rundown of like what I'm doing for that. If you want to make your own little aesthetic terrariums, and then Kristin will tell you how to make like the real deal terrariums.
It's not a real deal. It's just a different type of terrarium.
I'd ideally like to make the real deal living plant ones, but I just have, smashy sausage fingers, and I am not good.
Different.
I know.
I think it would be a good
Let me
hobby
criticize myself.
for you and Ian to do together because he loves plants.
Yeah, but he's also not super like delicate. I think I just need you to do like the plants for me, because I've tried making one before years ago, and I kind of like mashed up my plants.
I made one. So also disclaimer, I made a terrarium probably about 2 years ago. It's still living, thriving. That's the only successful terrarium I've made. I've made a couple terrariums that like molded within days. So that's my experience. But I watched a lot of YouTube videos and I read your book. So we'll start.
I think you know what you're doing. But for a bit of an easier one for those of you who aren't so confident in either your planting abilities or your delicacy abilities, because you kind of have to be a little delicate with like planting
placement and stuff.
So that's why I chose to not do living ones, but I've already talked about gathering the bones. If you want to do any type of like bone display, go back and listen to my death bucket episode. Probably it was like episode 10 or something.
Carcass care.
Something
about that.
Yeah, and you don't have to use bones, obviously, but
you can use lots of things.
You can display whatever you want. You can make like little things with air dry clay or baking clay.
Yeah. And if you put it in a terrarium, it's kind of nice because then it doesn't get dusty. If you're worried if it's something like very delicate that you don't want to have to dust.
Yeah, that's
true. Put it in a little jar.
Yeah, true. Yeah, keep it safe. So what I just do for mine, so I gathered in the fall, and dehydrated a bunch of beautiful little mushrooms that were growing in the cemetery near me. Once again, all of this is optional. You don't have to do this, but I thought it was a really nice way to add some more real nature into my terrariums. I was going to make a bunch of little mushrooms to kind of spruce up my display with clay. Then I was like, anything I make is going to be less good than what nature makes. What if I just picked nature's mushrooms and then dehydrated them? And I did. And it was great. So I just picked a bunch of them, and I was very careful with like gathering them in a basket. And then I brought them home and put them in my dehydrator. When you dehydrate things, you want to do it from like around 90 degrees to like 110 degrees is the temperature you want to keep it in, so it doesn't crisp it up too much and it doesn't like burn it. I have a dehydrator that I bought some toaster ovens or toaster oven combos have like a dehydrator setting on
our
it.
Ninja Foodie has a dehydrator on
Yeah.
it, and a yogurt maker, and
Ooh.
a pressure cooker,
Oh my gosh.
and all kinds of
Got
things.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check your kitchen machinery. You might have like a dehydrator setting on something.
Mhm.
But if you don't, there's other ways to do it. You can get like silica beads and put it in a tub of silica beads and have it
Can't
dry
you just
out.
put it on low in the oven for a couple hours?
Yeah, you can also put it on super low. I've never tried that with the mushrooms, so I don't know how that would go, but I think that could work and just put it like as low as your oven will go.
Yeah.
But I just put mine in the dehydrator and then I was just checking them. I probably did them for like a few hours for the smaller ones and I just would check them and you just want to make sure the insides aren't still moist. You kind of just squeeze it and make sure it's really crispy because otherwise it'll like rot from the inside out and it'll be really gross.
Right.
So make sure they're fully dehydrated. But then for my little display terrariums, I get a bunch of, you can use jars, just like a salsa jar or whatever. Clean the label off, flip it upside down, and put all your little display on the lid. And then when you screw the jar on top, then you have like a little display. So you can use just like any jar that you have. You can get those like cloche bell jars.
Oh, yeah. Those are cool.
Yeah, or they're called like glass dome bell jars or cloche glass domes. And they're just like that cute little display. You can get the ones that have like cork as the lid. And those are really easiest because then you can like stick all your pins for your displays into the cork. But if you're not using a cork top, you can just get a little bit of cork. They sell like sheets of cork. And then I just cut off little squares of cork. So like, let's say I'm using just a regular salsa jar. Doesn't have any cork in it. I fully cleaned it, taken off the label. I got it flipped upside down. I open it up and in the lid, I'm going to create my whole little display. So first I hot glue down a little piece of cork that like covers most of the lid, but not all the way because you want to be able to close it again. So make sure you leave the, what are they called? The screw, the threads.
Oh,
make
threads.
sure like the threads are untouched so they can still like thread into the jar. So I put my cork down and then I get some crafting moss. You can use real moss, but you would want to like same thing, dry it out first, leave it out to dry in the sun super well, or I guess you could dehydrate that. But I just buy crafting moss because it's done for you and that's easy. Glue.
So all kinds of fun colors too.
Yeah. There's tons of colors. You can get like reindeer moss that comes in every color imaginable.
Like purple.
Yeah, if you want to get funky with it, or you can just get more realistic looking moss. But get your crafting moss, and then I glue that down on top of my cork. And then I usually, so if I'm using bones, I'll kind of like place my bones, and I'll usually do a little dab of super glue and glue that onto the moss. Just
what
so
about hot glue?
I think you can use hot glue for
Harder
bones.
to work with.
It's just, it shows up more because when it dries, it's like you can see all the little strings. So I do use hot glue.
I hate those strings.
Yeah.
I want stringless hot glue.
Right? No such thing. So for the stuff that's going to be more like on top and like outwardly being displayed, I usually use super glue because it doesn't leave as many like chunks, especially with bones. They're so delicate. So if you like have a little too much hot glue, you're going to see it kind of gush and it doesn't disappear like other glue. Right? So I use a combo of hot glue and super glue. So I want to like glue down my skull or whatever, my little bones onto the moss, just so it's not like tipping and shifting around if you move it.
Yeah, you want stable.
You want stable bones. And then for my mushrooms, what I do is I bought a bunch of like sewing pins that you would use to keep your fabrics in place. And I get the long ones, stick them into the cork in one end. Then I have wire cutters. I cut the other end to make it as tall as I need it to be. And then I like very, very gently, do it very, very gently because I have smashed too many mushrooms doing this because it requires being a bit delicate. But if I can do it, you can do it. But I like very gently push my mushroom down onto the needle. So I cut the needle so it's not like sticking super high up. I don't need the needle to go like all the way through the mushroom, just enough to like hold it in place. That allows me to like place my mushroom where I want it. So I put my needle where I want my mushroom. Then very delicately place my mushroom down onto the needle so it's holding it in place. And then I'll usually just add a little dab of super glue at the bottom to kind of keep it from swiveling around and keep it in place. And I just do that for as many mushrooms as I want. You can also, like I said, you can make clay mushrooms and you can do the same thing. Either put a needle in there if you can, or you could probably just like glue them into place. But I really liked the needles, and that was like what helped me take my craft to the next level
Yeah.
is figuring out a way to like stabilize them and get things to stand up straight.
Yeah.
So that pin trick works really well. You can just buy the super long ones and then you can just clip them with wire cutters for whatever length you want.
Nice.
And you can use that to prop up lots of things. Sometimes I put little pine cones in there and I'll like just glue all my little
You could
things
do
in
that
place.
for like Christmas too. You could have
Mhm.
Christmas stuff. You can
Yeah.
make ornaments with that. This is a craft that extends beyond just crafting. You can
Oh,
make
yeah.
gifts. You
Mhm.
can decorations, all kinds
Yep.
of things.
Yeah, you can do lots of stuff with it. You could add like pretty little rocks in there or any like gemstones or
Ooh.
pebbles you have. And just, you know, then it's fun because you're looking for things outside to add into your terrarium,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for making those. And then obviously you can keep them, you can just like close them up and keep them closed, but you don't have to. Sometimes I like open mine up and add more things or move them around. But yeah, it's pretty simple once the cork really opened my world up, being able to do these. And I just shipped one. Actually, today I shipped one out. Someone bought one. And so I sent it in the mail. I
Lovely.
bubble wrapped it a million times. But I think it'll ship pretty well because I like got everything glued down
Yeah.
securely. And so I'm feeling pretty good about
Secure.
it. Yeah.
On Etsy?
No, this woman, Lauren, who I work for, she wanted to buy one for her friend down in Texas.
Oh,
So she had me mail it out.
lovely.
Yeah.
That's
So
won-
look at me.
Wonderful.
I've sold a piece of my art. So yeah, those are
Proud of
super
you.
fun and easy to do. And like I said, you don't need to have animal bones. You can display anything.
Yeah.
And
A cool leaf.
yeah, you could do a cool leaf if you know how to do like the like dehydrating flowers,
Yeah.
which is pretty much the same thing. You can use your dehydrator or you can put them in the silica beads and dehydrate them, or I think you can just hang them up in the basement to dry, right? And then you could put those in your display. Like there's so many different things that you could put in there. And like I did a bumblebee one time. Don't kill things. Don't dehydrate alive things. But if you find dead things, throw them in the terrarium.
Yeah.
Little beetles, I don't know,
Oh,
throw them in the
yeah.
terrarium. I glued a ladybug into mine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Would you say this is a good hobby for the ADHD community?
I would say definitely yes. It's you get to collect things. There are like lots of little moving parts.
Yeah.
So you just
There's
have
like
to,
hobbies within this hobby,
Yes.
you know?
yeah. So you can really make it as big or little as you want. You could just keep it simple and just only put in things that you find. If you don't want to have to deal with like dehydrating anything or dealing with a death bucket and cleaning bones, or you can make it complicated and have a death bucket and clean bones and dehydrate mushrooms and put them all together. But I would say it is a good hobby for ADHDers because there's like, you know, then you get to collect jars. That's another fun thing.
Oh, yeah. I love
ADHDers
good collecting.
love to collect
until the
jars.
collection gets too big, and then I'm like, we got to get rid of these jars.
And then you get to start all over.
Yeah.
You can go to Goodwill and get lots of like funky different containers.
Yeah.
And then with getting the little sheets of cork, you can really use any container you need. It doesn't have to have one of those cute little like cork tops.
Yeah.
So I think there are lots of fun elements of like looking for things, finding things, putting it all together. And then, like Kristin said, they make great little gifts and they look so cute and they really don't take that much work or that much money because the crafting moss is like $6 for a big bag
Right.
of it. Hot glue is cheap. Jars are cheap or free. They're
Pine cones are outside.
pine cones are outside. Rocks are outside. There really aren't that many expenses to it.
Yeah.
So I think,
Well, that's wonderful.
yeah, I think that's a good one. All right. Tell us about living terrariums.
So the theory, and I think I already kind of briefly explained this, but in theory, the living terrariums, it's an enclosed system, ideally. You can also have closed terrariums, you can have open terrariums.
But the open ones, you have to like water and stuff?
Yeah, the open ones you have to water. It's kind of more like putting plants on display in a glass dish.
Yeah. So not that different from just like having plants in the
Yeah,
house.
and I think depending on what, like some will put a plant in like a big glass vase and that will help the humidity stay inside. But what I've mostly seen for open terrariums are like kind of a glass dish with like succulents in it, and that's fine.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know
yeah,
what
it's very cute. It's
Yeah,
like makes a good like centerpiece, and it's just nice.
Yeah, I feel like the ones that I see open, well, I guess in that book that I let you use, a lot of the open ones were like succulents as opposed to
well,
different plants.
because they don't need as much watering, right? So that's why the succulents are ideal for open terrariums.
Because the enclosed ones get like really humid in there.
And we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's ideally it will mimic the Earth's natural cycle. So you have like the water cycle, which in on Earth is condensation, precipitation, evaporation. The water goes up into the air and then it falls down as rain and then it gets evaporated again. But in terrariums, it's a little bit different. Step 1 is transpiration, where the water goes from the soil and the roots of the plants up to the leaves. And then as the sun heats up the terrarium, then it evaporates, which is step 2. And then the water vapor collects, and you might even see fog in your terrarium some days. And that's
fun.
condensation, and that almost like rains down.
You're making like a whole little ecosystem.
That's exactly what you're doing. Yeah.
So
And then
fun.
and then it kind of just repeats. You also have the carbon cycle, which is just like in nature. In terrariums, you have like CO2 from the air is absorbed through the plant leaves. And then going back to biology, in like elementary school, you have photosynthesis, where the plants use sunlight and carbon to make glucose, which is plant food, sugar. And then when the leaves die or shed and the plants die, they go back kind of very like Mufasa style. They go back into the grass.
Ah, yes.
And then the antelope eat the grass. No, the plants go back into the grass, and so the carbon is re-released back into the soil for this whole thing to happen again. You also have the oxygen cycle. So like we as animals, we breathe in oxygen and breathe out CO2. Plants are the opposite. They breathe in CO2 and they make oxygen. And so you have those 3 cycles. So yeah, you can theoretically make a whole ecosystem. I think there's this one guy who's like a really famous terrarium maker who has one that's been sealed for like 50 years.
Oh my
and
God.
It's just like still continuing to thrive.
That's so cool.
We're not there yet. We're doing baby terrariums.
We'll get there.
So
I feel like this would be a really cool way to teach kids about these cycles, because you get to see a little mini version of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I'm
Right?
sure some creative biology teacher has done that.
Yeah, I'm sure they do it in some
Yeah.
schools. But like if you're listening and your kids are, I don't know, any age, this would be helpful for me to learn this stuff better.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this would be a fun one to do with your kids.
So yeah, it's really, you're really creating your own ecosystem. And so to get started, you got to pick out your terrarium. You got to figure out, are you going to have it sealed? Are you going to have it closed? Are you going to have it open? Because that will kind of guide your decision making further down the road. For closed terrariums, most people use like jars with either corks or lids. I actually bought one that was like in a terrarium. It was like specifically a terrarium, and it's like a big glass vase, and it has like a wooden ball on the top so it's not like totally sealed shut.
Yeah.
It does let in some air, but I think for a beginner terrarium person, it's working great.
Okay, yeah. You can also use like cookie jars too, is another one.
Yeah, you can use cookie jars. Anything that's glass with a lid.
Yeah.
Or without a lid. If it's glass, you could probably make a terrarium out of it. I'm sure someone has. So you can go to Goodwill or some sort of thrift store. You can buy, you don't need to spend a bunch of money on a specific terrarium making kit. You can usually kind of thrift a bunch of this stuff.
And then once again, you get to thrift a bunch of stuff. And
Exactly.
Go looking for treasures. And that's always fun.
There's also like the very specific, the warding cases, which are like the glass. They look like almost little glass houses, and they have like the black like metal on all the panes and everything.
That's the one I have, like the ones I have upstairs.
Yeah, that's called a Wardian case.
Oh.
A Wardian case, yeah.
Oh,
I think Wardian something.
Oh. Those are like
and
the fancy
that's
ones.
a look. It's fancy, but you can make a terrarium out of that too. That I think was like the OG terrariums. I would recommend, if you're doing something closed, something with a lid that you can take off and you can easily get to with your hand. If you have something like a bottle with a narrow opening, that's going to be painful to try and figure out and maintain, and you're going to have to get special tools. So
same goes for my terrariums as well. I didn't say that, but yeah, you want to make sure the opening is big enough, obviously, to like get all your things in there. And then for yours, you're going to want to be able to like get your hand in there. Otherwise, you're going to be like surgeon style.
Yeah, you can get tools and stuff, but if you're just beginning, go easy on yourself.
Yeah, get a big opening.
Get a big opening.
Make it easier.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways to do it. What the book that we're mostly referencing off, that will be in our resources, and most YouTube videos that I based all mine off, to kind of build their terrarium in layers. And I've done some without layers that have failed dramatically. And the only one that's successful, I built in layers. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So
do it properly.
Do it properly. So layer 1 is your drainage layer, which I just used aquarium rocks. And this is so when you put water in it, it has somewhere to go if there's too much water. You don't want your plants to drown. You don't want this thing to like mold in a day.
I'll get like swampy probably.
Yeah. So you have to kind of balance it out. So it has to go somewhere. So it's nice to have a drainage layer. You can use, some people use leca, which is those like clay pebbles. You can use gravel from outside, but you want the little pebbles to be small enough so you can kind of level it. But you want them to be large enough so that there's like gaps in between. So like sand wouldn't be great.
It'd be too
Even
tight.
though your book said sand, I don't think sand would be good. Yeah, you want the water to be easily drainable.
Okay.
And then you have your substrate barrier, which is literally just like window screen. And this is so you can put like your filtration layer, your soil substrate stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. You can put it and it won't like dive down into the cracks of the drainage layer. Some people have gotten by without this, but I think most places I read recommend this. So you can get a whole thing of window screen for pennies. No, for a couple dollars at the hardware store, and then you can use that for anything. But yeah, the window screen is definitely easiest. Some people also said like butcher paper, and I don't really understand.
I don't know what that means.
Because isn't butcher paper like wax?
I would think it
paper?
would be like parchment paper. Yeah, I don't.
Use a window screen.
Yeah,
it's
just
got to
use
be
the
porous.
window screen.
You got to have the water go through.
Yeah.
But you don't want your soil to fall through it. So the window screen, we love it. We use it. It's cheap. You can cut it to size.
Yeah.
So if you're making a bunch of different terrariums, you can cut it to size.
Yeah.
And it's cheap.
Yeah. It's easy.
And then this is where some of the sources differed. You have a filtration layer. So a lot of places have just a layer of straight up horticultural charcoal or horticultural carbon, whatever you want to call it. And the purpose of that is to not only act as a big carbon source, but prevent the excess kind of buildup of bacteria, mildew, and mold. And so some people will put like a full-on layer. So it will go drainage layer, window screen, charcoal.
Okay.
Then dirt.
Okay.
But other people mix the charcoal in with their dirt. So it kind of depends. I think I did a layer. I'll have to look. I'm pretty sure I did a layer.
Yeah.
That's what YouTube said. So that's what I did. And it's still alive. So I call that a success. And then horticultural carbon or horticultural charcoal you can find at any gardening store. You can even find it at like the fish store.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anything where you have a terrarium set up or plants are involved, you can find that. So it's not like, I've even found it at like Lowe's and Home Depot. So it's not like super obscure.
And it's like little pebbles of charcoal, right?
Yeah, it's not like the grilled charcoal bricks. Yeah, it's little tiny.
Don't buy those.
Don't buy those. No, you want to just do like a little layer of your charcoal, and you want it just nice and even. And yeah, that will really help with the mold and the mildew because we don't want that. That's the goal, is to not have those things because that's how your terrarium dies. And then you're like, now I have a whole glass vase of mold.
Yeah.
That goes in the garbage.
Yeah. Throw the whole thing away.
Yeah. Don't open it. Don't get a disease. So now you go on to substrate, which is a fancy layer for your soil layer. It's not just soil. A lot of different places have a lot of different, like, this is my special formula. This is what I want. But in basic, you want your soil layer to hold moisture, but also to drain well, which are they opposite things? Yes.
Yes.
So you want them to do both. So what I use is worm castings. They have a lot of carbon in them. We like carbon. Orchid bark, but I actually cut it into smaller pieces because the orchid bark I had was pretty big. Either peat moss or coco coir. A little bit of perlite to help with the drainage, and a little bit of potting soil. And then the sphagnum moss, which I cut into little bits because that holds a lot of moisture, but it's also kind of chunky. So mine was like more chunkier than what I've seen in the past. But all my plants were really tropical plants that I put in that love chunky soil. So that's what I did.
Give them the chunk.
Yeah.
Do they have like terrarium soil?
I'm sure you
specifically?
can buy specific terrarium
Yeah,
soil.
probably just be more expensive.
because it is hard to like go to the store and buy all these things, especially if you're just making one.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks to like buy all those little things. And I think the most important part are the sphagnum moss, which isn't that expensive and easy to find, the orchid bark to kind of chunk it, and then you can just use like potting soil on top of that.
Okay.
Some sort of chunky potting soil. So I think if you can do that, that would be fine. But that's what I used, and I had all that stuff already because I have a bunch of indoor plants that require lots of things. So I always have like a lot of bags of a lot of things. But I didn't really buy much for this, to be honest. I'll go into it in a second. So you've got your drainage layer. It's about an inch-ish, depending on how big your terrarium is. You've got your window screen. You've got your filtration, and you have your substrate, and you've leveled it. So it doesn't have to be like evenly leveled. You can make like a hill. Now we get creative.
Yeah, because if you're using a fully clear glass one, you're going to like see the layers from outside, like
so
that sand art, So like think about how it'll look from the outside.
Exactly. That's why I used aquarium gravel for the drainage layer because it looks nice.
Looks nice, yeah.
Yeah. And so now we want to talk about plants and decor. For enclosed terrariums, you want small tropical plants. The best are ferns. Ferns suck to grow inside unless they're in a terrarium. They require so much humidity.
Yes. I've put them in the bathroom and they still die.
Yeah. No, you got to put them in a terrarium. I've killed every fern I've had.
Same.
Because it just requires humidity, except for the one that's in my terrarium. So mosses are great too because mosses love humidity. I did not put moss in mine because I didn't have any moss and I didn't want to go buy moss. I don't even know where you get moss to buy.
I think you can get that at plant stores, but you could also just go outside and very carefully cut some off a rock, right?
Yes and no. So I didn't, it was my first like big terrarium I built. So I didn't want to like go outside and get moss that potentially could have like bugs in it.
True.
Or some sort of like plant virus.
All right, don't listen to me, guys.
So I just used stuff I found at the plant store. All the plants I used, I already had, and they were all pretty healthy. So I used cuttings of them. And then a tropical plant. So in mine, I have an arrowhead plant, also called a syngonium, a pilea, and an asparagus fern. And they're doing okay. They're doing all right.
I think they're thriving.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take a picture of it.
All right.
And then for open terrariums, I don't have one, but most people recommend succulents and cacti because they don't need to be watered. They can live off of really poor soil quality. So if you just want to have like sand in there, they're fine. But this is going to be mostly focusing on closed terrariums. For decorations and decor, in humid enclosed terrariums, you definitely want something that's not going to mold. So probably your dehydrated mushrooms are probably not going to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't put
great.
dehydrated mushrooms in there because obviously they're going to like soften up and moisten and then rot. Mushrooms rot so easily.
Well, because
they're meant to.
They're meant to. Yeah, that's like their thing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do any sort of like stuffies. I wouldn't do anything that's going to be soft and susceptible to mold.
Or don't do air dry clay either. You could probably do baked clay, but I would not do anything air dry because obviously once it gets moist, it's probably going to soften.
I didn't even think about that. But rocks, crystals, ceramic figurines, cleaned bones. Those are all great choices. And then if you have an open terrarium, this isn't really much of an issue. But for closed terrariums, definitely think about that. Little plastic figurines will be fine.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you can also add like a top dressing like gravel or sand. I chose not to because I didn't have it. So whatever. And then let's talk about lighting. So yes, plants need light. It depends on what kind of plants you have. And also with the glass, the lighting will be it will be like a greenhouse, right? So the lighting's going to be a little bit brighter or more intense, and the light is going to cause a lot more heat and humidity. So for closed terrariums, direct sunlight, like a nice south-facing window, that might be a little bit too much. You might have too much heat, too much humidity, and that may cause mold and dead plants.
Mm.
I have mine in a north-facing window. It's loving it. I refuse to move it because it's still living and I'm in awe.
Yeah,
and
leave her
then,
where she is.
right. And then for open terrariums, they recommend succulents, but I don't have great luck with succulents. They require so much light. They require high light. I feel like succulents are very difficult plants to keep alive.
I know. I feel like people say that they're so easy,
You don't
but I
need
feel like
to
they're
water.
very difficult.
If you live in like a hot, dry climate, great.
Yeah.
But if you live in Maine,
yeah.
no, we don't get enough light unless you have like, you can also get artificial light. And that's the only way I've been able to grow a succulent is with artificial light, with a grow light. So I think if you're doing an open terrarium or any terrarium, you have to think about your light source. If you want it like specifically like on a coffee table or on a bookshelf, does it get enough light? And if not, do you have to provide light with like a grow lamp or something?
For mine, one quick note that you just reminded me of, the only lighting that you have to take into consideration is that being in direct sunlight can fade your crafting moss. So if you have it like in an open window directly in sun, your crafting moss is going to like lose this nice vibrant color. That's the only light consideration you have to take for mine.
And that's over like years, right?
Yeah, it takes a while, but like I
Yeah.
definitely have some that I've seen fade quite a bit after being in the window for like 3 years. But if you keep them out of the sunlight, crafting moss stays pretty much like exactly
That's
the
where your
same.
dark bookshelves come into handy. Put them up there.
Mantles.
Yeah, something out of the window.
Yes.
Yeah. For watering, so plants need water. And for closed terrariums, we kind of talked about the water cycle. In theory, you need to add like just like a spritz or two. You don't want to overwater your plants because it does get really humid in there. I would say when you first set it up, the less water, the better.
Okay.
So just spritz it a little bit and then cap it and kind of monitor it for the next couple of days, maybe even week or two. And if you see like, you know, it's always fogging up on the glass and the plants, it's just like looks wet, you might need to get like a paper towel and kind of wipe it. And if it doesn't look like if it looks dry and things are getting crispy, add a little bit of water. The other thing that's a little bit debatable is springtails. Have you ever heard of a springtail? They're
What's
like
that?
little tiny white bugs that live in the ground, and they eat like dead leaves, and they help kind of with that carbon process where they eat the mildew and they eat the dead leaves and kind of recycle it back into the system. So a lot of people get the springtails, and which I think you can order them online, usually from fancy plant stores. And I don't have any because once again, I didn't know. But I would say wait on the springtails until you know that your like terrarium is like up and moving and living. If it like immediately molds, don't kill an innocent springtail.
Yeah.
But a lot of people put them in their closed terrariums and they just kind of live there indefinitely, and you'll have like a little colony and they just live off the mold and the dead leaves, and they kind of help reprocess all of that.
What a nice little life. For
Yeah,
them.
I
Just
know.
Safe in there, warm,
cozy.
moist. Yeah. Nothing to worry about except for you killing their habitat.
Well, you're essentially God, right?
Yeah.
You're all encompassing.
And isn't that fun to be so powerful?
No.
Oh, it's a lot of
I
pressure.
don't want that pressure. And then maintenance. So hopefully, if we've done it right, you just place it where it's supposed to be placed and you leave it alone. But you can occasionally kind of wipe the sides if they get like a little bit of algae. Like I have a tiny bit. Mine's been going for like a year, maybe 2.
I think we did that last year, right?
I have a tiny bit of algae where it sees the most sun that I have to wipe away. But it should be a closed system. I think maybe this winter I'll probably spritz it again because it'll be really dry. But I don't want to do too many things. I rarely open the little lid.
Yeah.
And I don't really do much with it. I just kind of let it go.
Oh, yeah. If you're in a cold place, you should probably just think about like it being near any type of heating vent. 'Cause
Yeah.
it would probably dry it out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I guess if it's a closed thing, you want it warm, right? You don't want it like in your garage.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But you probably wouldn't want it too warm where it's like got hot air blowing on it, right?
I think the heat would help.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, you want it kind of the same weather, right? You don't want to.
Yeah,
You don't want
try to
any
keep
big
it consistent.
fluctuations, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to like bring it like right next to like on top of a radiator and have it live there for like a year and then bring it to like a cold, dark corner.
Yeah.
You want it kind
Consistency.
of consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then are live terrariums good for ADHD? I don't know. I think there's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
I think if you have, and there's a lot of things you have to get, I think for people who are in the plant world already,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
you have
got
all the
most
things.
of the stuff.
Put
Yeah.
it together. It's
Yeah.
like a nice little craft project. You can do it in a day.
Mm.
And now you've got this thing. Once again, you could give it as a gift.
Yeah. It's a great gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, you banged yours out pretty quickly.
I did bang
I was
mine out.
surprised
It was
how
like
fast.
a one day, it was like a couple hour project, but I had all the things.
Mm.
And so I think in that sense, yeah. But I think getting, if you just want to make one terrarium, maybe invest in a kit instead of getting all of the different pieces.
True.
And then go from there. And if this is like your thing, then yeah, go get a bag of activated charcoal or horticultural charcoal and orchid bark and everything. But trying to put all those things together, I already had it, so it was very easy for me.
Yeah. You could host a little terrarium party where everyone brings a jar and
probably could use up all my stuff.
Yeah.
I most certainly could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is good because it is nice to be creative and to kind of put things in there.
Yeah.
I think the potential for something to go wrong is high. I would do your research first, so you don't, kill innocent bugs and have like a jar of mildew on your hands.
But like worst things worst, you throw it out, So like
yeah,
I feel like
I think it is interesting. I think it's a great learning experience to learn about oxygen and carbon and water and everything.
Yeah.
And it is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I love mine.
Yeah.
And then you have this beautiful thing. I think I
it's
guess
easier than having a plant around because you don't really have to water.
you don't really have to water it
Yeah.
as long as it's in the right location and you did everything
Mm.
right. So yeah, I guess it's if you have all the things,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have to go and get all the things, it's like kind of annoying, but it is kind of nice. You just bust it out and then you have this thing. It's not like a bonsais where you have to like meticulously maintain them.
Yeah,
And-
you're not
and-
running into like the common ADHD problem where you set yourself up for having
Right.
like all this maintenance work you have to
Right.
do now.
Minimal maintenance. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess yes. I would say yeah, it's a great hobby for ADHD.
I
Yeah.
would say so too. And then you can put all your trinkets and treasures in there, as
Yeah.
long as they're not going to get gross by
Yeah.
moisture, but like put in all your little rocks and trinkets that you collect, and display them.
Mhm.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I think you put a few of my little animal bones in yours,
I have
right?
a couple animal ribs
Yeah.
and then I have a giant rose quartz.
Yeah.
And I don't know what rose quartz is supposed to do, but I feel like it's warding off all of the mold.
I think it's working.
So
Yeah.
that's what I put in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks nice. I like it. And I get a few compliments on it. So
I think it looks
so yeah,
great.
maybe we could do, I know we always talk about live streams, but we could do like a
Mm.
live stream hobby collector.
Yeah, because I want to make a real terrarium,
Okay.
a living terrarium.
With your bones.
Yeah.
We can do
With
that.
your plant skills and my bones, we could get something going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks for teaching us that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
right,
is our hobby.
All right. Well, normally this would be the time for alternative segments,
Yeah.
but we have gone too long and we've
come too far.
We've come too far. So we're going to skip right over alternative segments this time, save it for next time, and get right into those pizza secrets.
Yee.
Very succinct, exactly.
Mhm.
Should we do the song?
Yep.
Okay.
Pizza secrets, tell me your secrets. Pizza secrets.
Oh yeah.
Pizza secrets.
My voice is kind of horse-ish again, so I can't hit those high notes, but not for lack of trying.
Horse-ish.
Horse-ish. You got a divorce, of course. All right, Kristin. Tell me that pizza secret.
This one, I don't know if it's a quirk or a pizza secret.
I feel
but
like I don't really know the difference. Sometimes I share a pizza secret. I'm like, that could have been a quirk,
that
and
could
vice
have been
versa.
a quirk. So today, as I've kind of been alluding to, I'm getting a new job.
Do you have a title for your pizza secret?
Hold on.
Okay. You don't have to title it.
I don't have a title.
Okay, that's fine.
I was gonna think of something clever, but
You didn't.
I don't. I
You
don't have
couldn't, and-
anything.
All right.
I don't have a title as pizza secret
Okay.
/ quirk.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's okay.
As I've been alluding to, I'm getting a new gerb.
Yeah, you
I'm getting
are.
a new gerb at a new facility, and with that comes your employee health check, which is like you go, they check over your. I work in healthcare, so like you got to get your vaccines.
Yeah.
And although some people don't believe in them,
You would get them anyways, though, because you believe in vaccines.
I would get them anyways because I believe in them, and I think that they are necessary, and I think it is good as a healthcare provider to get healthcare.
It is good.
Yeah.
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 Succinct.
So, yeah, some people may disagree for some reason, but here we are.
I would hope we don't have any anti-vaxxers listening to this, but
Well, we got our first troll.
we did?
Yes, on the Facebook group.
Oh, that's right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry about anyone who saw that. Someone
Yeah.
posted something
Like
crazy about vaccines and
it was
autism.
it was like the classic like vaccines cause autism. One, at first, side pizza secret, I thought it was like satirical.
I did too. I
Yeah.
almost liked it.
That's why I called you, because I was like, this is satirical, right? And
Yeah.
Christopher's like, no. And I was like, no, it's like a joke. Like,
yeah, because like who would post
Who would
that?
post
That's
that?
crazy.
But apparently, yeah, a person would. So if you saw some weird, unusual post on our Facebook, they've been blocked. Don't worry. And I took it down. But we got our
Yeah.
first troll.
Yeah,
that should have
that's
been a
quite
little
the
push.
moment.
Yeah.
I know. Go us.
Sorry.
We're worth trolling, and isn't that nice?
Yeah. Look at us getting trolled.
We've gotten a 1-star on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, we
Now we've
did?
gotten yeah, like a long time ago. That's where the whole like 5 stars only
that's
joke
right,
started.
That's right. Okay.
It's because our rating went down from 5.0 to 4.9, and we were trying to do the math of it must have been a 1-star.
Someone hated it.
Yeah, hated it.
Sometimes it's nice to be hated.
That's what I'm saying. It's
You
kind
know,
of fun.
to elicit emotion like that.
Yeah, because
So-
the opposite of love is apathy, not hate. You know,
Oh. Yeah.
like if you're indifferent to someone, that's the true opposite of love. Hate is still a strong emotion.
It is. Yeah.
You clearly like you hate us so much you have to go on Apple Podcasts and like give us a bad rating or infiltrate requests to be accepted into our Facebook group.
Yeah.
Just to post like a troll thing
Yeah.
about vaccines and autism, something that's been disproven
Unreal.
over and over and over and over
Right.
forever, always.
With like a weird alien baby picture.
Yeah. The whole thing was
It
strange.
was so weird.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're not of the variety of that belief.
No.
And so I have to go get a bunch of vaccines. And the other thing is I have to take a drug test, which means I have to pee in a cup. And so that was happened. That was supposed to happen today. And in 3 different places, including 2 different sticky notes and my Google Calendar, I wrote 9:30. So I have to get up. I'm like chugging coffee and water. And it's trash day. I'm bringing the trash out. I'm doing all the things. I'm getting dressed into like regular clothes and not like garbage clothes like I've been wearing for the past couple of months. And
fancy clothes. You look nice.
I know.
Put together.
Thanks. I was like, because I didn't know if it was gonna be like, am I gonna meet anybody after? You just never know.
Yeah.
So I was like, I might as well just look nice.
Mm.
And then I'm like about to pull into the parking lot.
And it was a far drive too,
It was a
right?
far
It was like
drive. It was
45
like 40 minutes. Yeah. And I'm about to pull in the parking lot and they're calling me and they're like, do you want to reschedule because you're late? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like right on time. I'm even 5 minutes early.
Nice.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it was for 8:50. And I thought it was 9:30. And I wrote it. I go, no, I wrote it down. And they're like, did you get the text message? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, okay. And I look at the text message, it says 8:50. And I'm like, what is wrong with me?
I don't understand how you made that mistake. Like, there's
I
no
don't
numbers
either.
that are the same, or you switched them, or you saw the date and you fixed up for the
friggin' clue.
time.
So I drove all the way there. I was full bladder,
Yeah.
stress,
Full of piss.
Yeah. And then they're like, no. And I'm like, well, can I just come now? They're like, no. And they're like, can you come tomorrow? And I'm like, in the middle of the day. So yeah, whoops. I don't know how I got
I don't know where you got that.
9:30 from 8:50.
It's a thing where you like, well, once again, I'm sure you looked at it and you're like, I got the gist of it. And then once you like see it once, then you tell yourself that's the time. And then whenever you're trying to like remember, you're just remembering your false memory instead of like
all I can
referring
think
to
of,
the text.
The other thing is I have an appointment, I think, for my car inspection. I think that's at 9:30.
I think you should check that again.
I should probably call them.
Yeah.
No, they sent me a text too. I got to recheck
that doesn't mean
text.
anything. You got to read the text in order for it to be helpful.
That's true.
So that's kind of
I'm like, what
problem there.
So now I'm like, I'm stressed about starting this job. And like, this is like, if I fail, like, one, I'm not going to fail because I don't do anything exciting.
Yeah.
I was just worried about like having all my records because some of them are from old jobs, some of them are for college, and some of them from my primary care of like when was my last, Tdap and flu vaccine, and it just helps when you show up at the appropriate time. And the guy was just like so annoyed. I go, no, I wrote it down. He's like, for 8:50, I go for 9:30. He's like, no.
Why'd you write that down?
No.
That wasn't your time.
I'm like on 2 different sticky notes. And I even like called because I didn't know where to go on Friday afternoon. I was like, hey, can you just explain to me like what building you're in? Because there's a bunch of buildings.
Good strategy.
Yeah. And I said, I think I have an appointment for 9:30. And she's like, yeah. And I think I should have confirmed my time, and I
hate
didn't.
those moments where you're like, I was so close to just like getting the correct information, and I didn't. I somehow still missed it.
it.
There's so many opportunities to be corrected, and I ignored all of them.
So now I'm going to show up like 8 hours early.
Please, sleep there. You know what? It's just practice round. It's like me showing up a week early to get my IUD put in. Just practicing.
I was like,
trying it out.
I was so proud of myself that I like got there on time with the vaccines. And because the last time I got a new job, I forgot. I showed up with all my like vaccine records, but then didn't drink any water, and I had to I had to like squeeze it out of me, and the lady is like, you doing okay? So it like clearly looks like I'm like using tainted pee because I like can't pee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just a minute.
I don't relate to that. I feel like I could pee at any time. I feel like you hand me a cup and say, go pee in this, and I could fill it up. I feel like I always have to pee.
No.
All day, every day.
No.
No, you're not drinking enough fluids.
I'm not drinking enough fluids. I think that's half of it, but I made sure this time, but then it bit me in the butt.
Approach every day like you have a pee test coming, liquids wise. Don't drive to Augusta and wait in the parking lot, but like conceptually, like treat each day like you're going to have to take a piss test. So you drink enough fluids.
True. I could try.
You can try.
I probably won't.
Want me to schedule you a bunch of pee tests?
Yeah, random pee tests. Put them on my Google Calendar.
All right.
So at various times of the day so I can figure it out.
So you can show up 40 minutes late randomly? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just like, it's like one of those things where you're like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm getting it together.
Yep.
And then you just miss it entirely. And
Story of my life.
And I'm like laughing, but I'm also like, this guy is so mad at me.
Whatever. He's a nobody.
He is
He's a pee taker.
Well, I think he's an RN, but
tester.
But I'm sure he's very annoyed. But yeah. He's a secret.
It happens, And the fun thing about this podcast is whenever we do one of those shitty things, while yes, it is upsetting, I always have the silver lining of like, hey, there's some content.
There it is.
I can talk about this on the podcast.
And
genuinely that has made those situations easier to deal with because I'm like, this is hilarious. Of course I did this.
Unreal. I'm just
You're so quirky.
So quirky / pizza secret.
Yes.
Grace.
Yeah.
What's your pizza seek?
All right. My pizza seek is called Sold.
Yeah.
This is just a short little guy.
Yeah.
Something shitty I'm actively doing as we speak. I got a gust of motivation a few weeks ago to post a bunch of things on eBay.
Sure.
I was like posting
eBay.
I know. I was posting stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Some of it is like I'm selling stuff for other people or people have given me stuff and I said I would sell it or whatever. I just have all these like random things that I'm always trying to get rid of and posting them on Facebook Marketplace. And usually I do sell them on Facebook Marketplace, but I had a few things that just weren't selling. Like a neighbor had donated these like riding boots to our yard sale a couple years ago. They're like kids size 5, but they're like fancy expensive. I looked them up. They're like
size 5.
Yeah,
You still have them?
Yeah, check them out. Oh yeah, you could have them for Shy.
I could have them for Shy.
Take them.
I don't know if she's a size 5.
Well, whatever they are, take them. They're probably not even a size 5, but they're like pretty nice riding boots that have only been worn a couple times, and I didn't sell them at the yard sale because they're such a specific item.
Yeah.
And so I figured
you need to have a child. That child needs to be into horseback riding.
Exactly, and they need to wear that size.
Yeah.
And so I figured that's kind of more of a niche item. I should probably post these things on eBay. And
what's better, eBay or Facebook Marketplace to sell things?
I mean, eBay, you obviously have a wider range, but then you're gonna have to ship that thing. You're gonna have to be able to follow through on it, and yeah, it's just not local. So I think Facebook Marketplace for me is so much easier. But in my mind, I was like, you know what? I've been returning a couple things to UPS lately. I feel like I could do it. Like, I feel like I could make it because I'm so bad at mailing things out.
Yeah.
That's like one of my absolute weaknesses. Told myself I could do it. Posted all these items on eBay.
Nice.
Obviously lost motivation for it.
Yeah.
And I keep getting emails that one of my items, people have tried to buy them like 3 different times.
No.
And I just like, then the shame piles up. So then you avoid it even more. And
You're
I
like,
get
I'm not looking at that.
Yeah, I get an email that's like, oh, your item is sold. And I'm like, I'll deal with that later. But then you only have a few days to send it. And then it's like this person has like submitted a concern because they haven't like received their items. And then I'm watching all of this unfold just in my emails. I still haven't logged into eBay to like deal with it. I just keep getting emails that it's like different levels of your item's been bought. A few days later, it's like someone submitted a ticket. They haven't gotten their item yet. And then it's like eBay being like, hey, why haven't you sent this item back? And then it's like, we've refunded the customer because they never received their item. And I just still haven't dealt with it, and that's happened like 3 different times where people have like tried to buy my items.
All right, so eBay not great for not great.
I'm
for
not
you.
there yet.
You're not there yet.
No,
one day,
maybe. Not now. I prematurely thought I could handle it because like if someone had bought something that day, I think I could have done it.
It's a good lesson,
right? It is a good lesson.
And Facebook Marketplace, the turnaround's so quick.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like my dad posted their bed frame was broken. How? I don't know. But it was like this.
I don't want to know.
It was like this like sleigh one. Ugliest bed I've ever seen.
Of course,
like
they had a sleigh bed. They would.
And it's huge. It doesn't even fit in their room. But my mom loved it and they wanted it. And so finally they like downsized to a bed that didn't take up. Well, they still have their king bed, which doesn't fit in their room, but at least they have a bed frame that's a little less bulky. But my dad posted it on Facebook Marketplace thinking it wouldn't go. And I guess the bed is like from like a specific carpentry firm in Vermont. And these people who lived like down the street from that firm in Vermont saw the post and drove to Maine to get this specific bed.
Oh my God.
I'm like, it's an ugly bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that happened like within a day.
Yeah.
And so the turnaround's so quick on
Yes.
Facebook Marketplace. Yeah.
If you put things like cheap enough,
I think you better be like ready.
Yeah. I think because of the convenience that it's so easy to buy something on Facebook Marketplace, whereas eBay, it's like a whole process. And so,
I also think if you want to sell something of value, you go to eBay because you're going to have people looking for very specific things. If you're trying to sell like lawn furniture or something generic,
a lumpy red chair.
Yes. Go to Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
I always see there's a guy in southern Maine who's trying to sell some like very nice bonsais on Facebook Marketplace, but his prices are probably good. But I'm like, Facebook Marketplace is not your market, sir. You need to be either online or on eBay, but not on Facebook.
Yeah, because I think people are just looking to it's more of like yard sale
secondhand stuff. Yeah.
Although there are some expensive things on there that I do see
every once in a while. But if you're looking for a quick turnaround, you price that low.
Yep.
And you just get ready. But yeah, I don't think I could do eBay either.
No, and I don't know why I thought I could. I was doing so well with Facebook Marketplace, and I was like turning things around. I posted stuff on Craigslist too, and I sold stuff through Craigslist. I was like, I could handle eBay. I've been doing a good job. I would go to UPS. No, The message popped up and I was like, I don't want to deal with that.
I also think like with Facebook Marketplace, you get all those messages that are like, is this still available?
Oh
is this
my
still
God.
available?
It's like, yes, it's
Yes.
fucking available or else I wouldn't post it.
Right.
Dumb
right.
shit. Sometimes I think because people like press the button accidentally where it has like the pre-written, is this
Right.
available?
People don't know how to use it.
Oh my God, I get a message from someone. It's usually older women. I'm sorry, but it is. I'll get a message saying, is this available? And I'll say, yes, it is. And they'll say, like often very rudely, they'll be like, I'm not interested. I'm like, you message me.
You said you wanted this.
Or they'll ask me for like the measurements, even though the measurements are in the post. And then I'll like take the time to like copy them and send them over. And then they're like, I'm not interested. I'm like, they were in the post. Why would you message me? I don't understand.
Right.
It's illogical. It fills me with rage. It's really hard. Honestly, that's like the hardest part of selling on Facebook Marketplace is dealing with the people.
I guess I usually am a buyer and I feel like you'll be, and this is, you know, everybody lives their own lives, but you'll be like back and forth messaging with someone about something and then you won't hear from them for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you can pick it up in 1 to 2 hours if you have cash. And I'm like, dude, I saw this 3 days after. Like, where have you been?
I know. I'm not ready to like jump in the car.
Right.
I feel like it's really easy though to be a good buyer on Facebook Marketplace
for
because
sure.
so many people are so bad at it.
Yes.
I had a woman, I mean, I got the money from it, so I don't give a shit. But I was selling these trunks. I had like a few extra just like antique trunks that I'm trying to get rid of. Some woman paid me. She Venmoed me. It was like $15. I think the problem is when you price things too cheap.
Yeah.
People are too casual about it.
Yeah.
So they're like, I can go whenever, or I'll pay you for this and come get it. And then they like, it's not enough money to care about it.
Yeah.
She Venmoed me 2 different times. This woman has tried to schedule a time to come pick up the trunk. One time she was like, I was at your door, but nobody came. I ran down a minute later after I saw her message and she was gone. And then she was like, I don't know if she rang the doorbell and like ran away, but literally by the time
like, ding ding, see ya.
She's like, no one was there. And then another time she said she was running errands. Can I pick it up in the next few hours? I responded and said yes and left it outside. She just never showed up and never said anything to me and hasn't said anything since.
She hasn't gotten it.
Nope. Hasn't picked up the trunk. Hasn't said anything to me. Hasn't asked for her money back. So now
What
it's
a
like,
great customer.
right? Except now I still have this fucking trunk. Like I didn't really care about the money. What I really cared about was getting rid of
I
this
think
trunk.
you got to post that on Facebook Marketplace.
Sell it again.
Sell it
I
again.
can just sell this thing over and
yeah,
over.
it's your
You're right. Yeah.
You just gotta post it again. She'll probably buy it again.
Or I could put it out for free, I guess. Although I could just keep making a profit from this thing.
I think he posted again, and maybe she'll be like, "Hey, I bought this." Maybe
like,
you'll
well,
find her. Yeah.
Maybe you never showed up for it, so I consider that $15
Right.
the fee of me putting this
First of
outside
all,
and then moving it in.
$15.
I know.
What a bargain.
Well, it's like a kind of like busted up trunk. It would be nice if you could like, and I put that in my post of like needs a lot of TLC, but could be a really nice trunk.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should just post it again and see if she says
Post
anything.
it again. Yeah.
She just literally
I would just
ghosted
say,
me.
"Hey," I would message her again. Say, "Hey, do you still want this trunk? You paid me for it. If not, I'm going to post it again."
I don't even feel like I should have to do that level of work because
That's
now I'm
true.
just like annoyed by her, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, I gave you, we've tried this so many times. I've put this, it was sitting outside for like 3 days on my porch.
Unreal.
And she just
I'm surprised
never,
it didn't get stolen.
I know. I was like, please, someone take it. Because then I could just tell her like, well, you never came and it was out waiting for you and
Yeah,
someone
I thought
took
you
it.
took it.
Yeah. I figured that was you. But nope, no one even bothered to steal it. So
Oh my goodness.
anyways, pizza secret.
It's a couple bonus secrets there.
Yeah, there you go. A couple fun
Yeah.
ones. All right. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Hope you learned a lot about terrariums, reality TV,
Mhm.
juggling,
Juggling.
pee tests.
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Vaccines and trolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff.
If you're like,
Spinning.
man, this was great.
I loved it.
Loved it. Where do I get more? Well, luckily, we have tons of episodes and you can go back. You can listen to all of them. You can find us on Instagram at Weirds of Feather. You can find us on TikTok at Weirds of Feather. You can find us on Facebook. We are monitoring for trolls. Don't worry. Yeah. You can sign up for our Patreon where you get bonus content. We got some Bob's Burgers NDTV coming out.
Yep.
All sorts of things. Maybe some more horse train meet cute art on the Patreon.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You can go to our website,
Yes.
wizardofeather.com.
Get some merch
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Ah! Ah!
Ooh. Ooh. Nice.
Bye.